Well, guys, we're just gonna have to continue to say it. We live in the dumbest timeline ever imaginable. We have the weakest and most feckless president ever imaginable. And most importantly, we have the least intelligent president ever imaginable. And over the past week or so, we have seen our markets falling off of a cliff. We have seen uncertainty injected into nearly every sector of our economy. We even see countries all around the world starting to lose confidence in the United States. And we have trade relationships that are being obliterated, all because Donald Trump has a weird infatuation with these things called tariffs. And on April 2nd, his so-called Liberation Day, his administration announced these brand new tariffs that were so astronomically high that many in his own circles didn't believe were real. And only a day or two ago, when he was asked whether or not these things can be paused while people work out some sort of deal, this is what Donald Trump had to say. If you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
And would you be open to a pause in tariffs to allow for negotiations?
Well, we're not looking at that. We have many countries that are coming to negotiate deals with us, and they're going to be fair deals. And in certain cases, they're going to be paying substantial tariffs. There'll be fair deals.
So it sounds pretty unambiguous, right? The Trump administration uses this weird formula. They take the exports, they divide it by the imports, they slash it in half just to make Donald Trump look like a nice guy, and they come up with these astronomically high numbers. And when Donald Trump is asked whether or not they can be paused while people work out their deals with him, Donald Trump says, hell no. These things are permanent, baby. They're not a negotiating tactic. These are going to make America rich again. And what do you know? Today's April 9th, and shortly after all of these tariffs went into effect, the Trump administration came out and reversed course yet again. And we have to be prepared for these idiots to start claiming that this was some genius move by Donald Trump, and this is what he wanted all along, because the markets are on a tear right now, and so we must be prepared for them to start taking credit for the uptick in the market. But even over on Fox News, they're calling it Donald Trump out and saying, this isn't the win that you think it is.
I mean, I want to tell you right now that Donald Trump outsmarted the world. Trust me, I'm an American. I support my president. But that's not really what happened here, from what I understand. And I know I'll get pushback, but here's what it is. First off, we should point out that one of the good things about this is that Scott Bessent is finally in the White House. He's finally leading this. I mean, up until a couple of days ago, it was Lutnick, it was Peter Navarro, the Commerce Secretary, the trade advisor, very much hawks. Now it's Scott Bessent, who believes in cutting deals as opposed to, just just putting these tariffs out there and let's be a mercantilistic economy. That's number one. But number two, let's recall what happened overnight. And from what I understand, and I'm getting this from people that are talking to the White House, what happened in the bond market overnight, the spike in yields on the 30-year and the 10-year bond, which showed that people were dumping our bonds. And who are those people dumping our bonds? Japan, the biggest holder of bonds, was selling bonds. That's what I'm getting from some very big money managers. China, maybe to some extent, but it was largely Japan and others. If you have a mass sale of bonds, that means people are losing confidence in the U.S. economy, on the ability to do deals with us. And from what I understand, this is what forced the hand of this 90-day reprieve.
Now, this guy's exactly right. If you got our allies, you got people around the world that are unloading U.S. bonds, that shows a severe drop in confidence in the U.S. markets. And that is not good for anybody, especially not America. And these people have every right to be cautious about what the United States is doing. Donald Trump has been a madman ever since he got sworn in as the 47th president. They're on again, they're off again. They're on again, they're off again. Pause. I mean, Donald Trump has absolutely no idea what he is doing. And against all advice that I am sure he is getting from people like Scott Bessent saying that these are not going to be good for anybody. You're going to start a trade war that doesn't need to be started. You are going to give the United States the biggest self-inflicted wound ever. Donald Trump bullheadedly has just stuck to his guns on this and decided that he was going to implement them anyways. And it wasn't the markets falling off the cliff. It wasn't the retirement accounts that are getting decimated. It was people unloading U.S. bonds on the world market that spooked the Trump administration, it sounds like. And so Donald Trump doesn't care about the American people. Okay? That is for one. For two, these people have every right to have low confidence in the United States. And this is what we were warning was going to happen if these tariffs went into effect. People are going to start losing confidence. America looks like an unreliable trading partner. We look like we have absolutely no idea what we're doing. And now people are starting to react to all of this uncertainty. And so the White House, Scott Bessent and Caroline Leavitt, came out to announce this new pause on these tariffs, while also reminding people that China is excluded and their tariffs actually went up to 125%.
And as you all know, the president just put out a statement announcing an additional tariff on China. The tariff on China will now go up to 125% because China imprudently decided to retaliate against the United States. And as I said at the podium yesterday, when you punch at the United States of America, President Trump is going to punch back harder. In that same vein, we have had more than 75 countries from around the world reach out to President Trump and his team here at the White House to negotiate better trade deals for the American worker.
Do not let these people fool you. There has been no deals made. Countries might be calling Trump to work out some sort of deal, whatever that means. But these across-the-board tariffs that were 40, 50, 60% high, they have been put on pause for 90 days. And China, because they had the gall to stand up to Donald Trump, well, they have been hit with 125% tariffs. And that is all just it goes to show that the Trump administration is operating in a fantasy land. Did he really expect other countries all around the world to just lay over and take it? Did he really not expect people to retaliate? And as we learned, Europe had drafted up stuff to retaliate. We saw other countries around the world drafting up their retaliation. Donald Trump thinks that we are still on top of the world, when that is so far from the truth now because of his incompetence. Of course, these countries were going to retaliate, and everybody was warning him before he put these new tariffs into place. I mean, these people are absolutely insane. And here's Scott Bessent saying, well, this actually took Donald Trump a lot. It took a lot of courage for him to do this, and stay the course, guys.
And we saw the successful negotiating strategy that President Trump implemented a week ago today. It has brought more than 75 countries forward to negotiate. It took great courage for him to stay the course until this moment. And what we have ended up with here, as I told everyone a week ago, they're in this very spot, do not retaliate and you will be rewarded. So every country in the world who wants to come and negotiate, we are willing to hear you. We're going to go down to a 10% baseline tariff for them, and China will be raised to 125 due to their insistence on escalation.
Does anybody else get freaked out by Scott Bessent? He always talks like this, like his head is shaking no all the time when he's talking about things regarding the Trump administration. It really just kind of freaks me out. But notice what he is saying here. Countries are calling Donald Trump. Countries are calling us to work out a deal. No deals have actually been struck here. But these people are trying to tout this as some sort of win for the Trump administration. It is anything but that. This is a self-inflicted wound that did not need to happen, but because Donald Trump lives in a conspiracy-brained world and has no understanding of tariffs and trade deficits and our relationship with the rest of the world, he implemented these tariffs, the markets crashed, and now because he paused them for 90 days, we can see a spike in the market. That is not a win. That is a self-inflicted wound, and now they are trying to take credit for the backlash that we are seeing in the markets after they announced this pause. This is not a win, and we cannot let them claim it as a win. The markets should be up 5 or 6% compared to when Donald Trump got elected. But instead, they went down nearly 20% and are now back up about 6 or 7% on the day. So we are still at a loss. So do not let these people try to tell you that this is some sort of win. It absolutely is not, and we must hold them accountable for their incompetence. And here is Caroline Leavitt saying, well, you guys in the media just missed the art of the deal then.
Kyle, if I could just add to what the secretary said, many of you in the media clearly missed the art of the deal. You clearly failed to see what President Trump is doing here. You tried to say that the rest of the world would be moved closer to China when in fact we've seen the opposite effect. The entire world is calling the United States of America, not China, because they need our markets, they need our consumers, and they need this president in the Oval Office to talk to them. And that's exactly why more than 75 countries have called, because the United States of America is the best place in the world to do business. And as the president has shown great courage, as the secretary has said, in choosing to retaliate against China even higher.
The United States used to be the best place to do business. Hands down. We had the strongest economy. We had the rule of law. We had a judicial system that would uphold that rule of law. But Donald Trump has undermined all of that. And if you think that countries around the world aren't turning to places like China, where they are a more consistent trading partner, then you are fooling yourself. We already know that Canada is in talks with them, Mexico is in talks with them, other countries over in Europe are in talks with China, because even though they may not agree with China politically, at least they are a consistent trading partner. And the United States has lost all credibility in that regard, and that is all due to this Trump administration. They bullheadedly went through with these tariffs. They let Donald Trump try to rule the world with these stupid tariffs, and now we are suffering the consequences of these tariffs. And this is all Donald Trump's fault. Do not let anybody else tell you otherwise. And when Scott Bessent was asked about why the tariffs were actually paused in regards to the bond market selling off, this is what he said.
I have nothing that says that, and we actually had quite a good 10-year auction today, and all this was, again, this was driven by the president's strategy. He and I had a long talk on Sunday, and this was his strategy all along, and that, you might even say that he goaded China into a bad position. They responded. They have shown themselves to the world to be the bad actors. And we are willing to cooperate with our allies and with our trading partners who did not retaliate. It wasn't a hard message. Don't retaliate. Things will turn out well.
Again, he's always shaking his head when he's talking about shit that he doesn't want Daddy Trump to look bad for. This is not some tried and true genius strategy from the Trump administration. And in fact, there was rumors swirling that Scott Bessent was even looking to leave the administration because of this tariff insanity. Every economist across the board, on both sides of the aisle, kept on telling Donald Trump that these were an absolutely terrible idea. And because he has some weird infatuation with the tariffs, because he doesn't know how they work, because he doesn't know what trade deficits are, because he doesn't know that we were the top dog that benefited from all of these trading relationships that we had, because he didn't know any of that, he went forward with them anyway. And now they're trying to claim it as some sort of win because the markets are up a few points after their stupidity. I mean, these people are absolutely shameless. And I really, really hope that the American people do not fall for it. Because over the past week or so, we've even seen people in the MAGA camp coming out and saying, this is absolute madness. I thought Donald Trump had a plan, but apparently he does not. And that is the only thing that he has shown us ever since he got sworn in. Donald Trump doesn't have any plan. He tries to implement these tariffs because he has, again, he's just obsessed with them for some reason. He's been obsessed with them since the 80s, and now he's in a position to actually implement them, and so he went ahead and did it. And now he thinks that everybody's going to come crawling on bended knee to work out some sort of deal, except we haven't really been shown that that's actually the case. So do not let these people claim this is a win. Donald Trump implemented these insanely high tariffs based on a formula that is not attached to the real world, and now we are seeing the fallout from all of that. And just because the administration has chosen to pause them for 90 days so people can work out their deals or whatever, does not mean that this was a strategy all along that is benefiting the American people, because it absolutely is not. So I will leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We've got a build something here on the left that adequately pushes back against the right-wing media ecosystem that just shovels shit for Donald Trump every single day. So if you do like what I do here, please do remember to smash that subscribe button. It is free. And if you guys want to see how millions of people showed up in the streets to protest against this idiotic administration, please do watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.